Hello everyone, welcome back to Paul's Messy Bench Models. Today I've got a build review of Revell's 64 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt 2-in-1 kit, which you can build as either a dragster or sort of a semi-legal street machine thing. It's a nicely detailed kit and goes together reasonably well. You get a lot of optional parts. For the dragster version, Revell gives you a set of big slicks for the rear and small narrow tires for the front. The slicks are pretty good. The rubber is pretty hard. There is some sidewall detail on there. The narrow front tires, I had problems sanding the tread on there. It seemed to be molded unevenly. The tread would disappear in some places and sand unevenly in others. So I wound up using some aftermarket AMT tires, which didn't really fit very well. I had to modify the wheels to get the tires on. If you build the stock or street version, you get some pretty good wide muscle car tires. No sidewall detail, they're no name. You get steel wheels in the kit, or two different kinds of mag wheels. If you're building the stock version, you get hubcaps to put on your steel wheels if you like. For the dragster version, you've got a raised ventilated hood, or you get the stock hood, and you get a stock air cleaner, or you can get a dragster air cleaner that has this ductwork that goes and connects up to the holes for the high beam headlights. You get a choice of two different transmissions. You can go manual or automatic. They're both included. Get exhaust pipes for a street version, or for the dragster version you can have the giant headers and one silly little muffler to make it street legal, I guess. In step one, I found that the receptacle for the locating pin at the top of the bell housing is big enough that it actually interferes with the fit of the transmission to the back of the engine. So you might want to shave that down a little bit before you put it together. So before you put your engine in step 3, there's some locating tabs at the front of the floor pan, and I found they just make fitting the body and radiator more complicated, and I wound up shaving them off. They don't seem to be necessary, and it's easier to get everything together if you cut those off. Also, I noticed that the kit in the engine bay does not include a battery. So if you want a battery, that would be the time to find one and install it. When I was putting the headers together in step 5, I noticed some ejector pin marks on the outside surface. I cleaned them up, but it may not actually be necessary, because once you get everything together, you'll never see the sides of the headers again. Like a lot of muscle cars, getting the headers in is a challenge in this kit. They kind of weave around the suspension. I pretty much followed the kit instructions. There may be an easier way. I don't know. I found that the top of each individual pipe, if you get one glued down, the others seem to spring away from the positions where they're supposed to be. So I took a drill bit and I attached it to the end of a chunk of sprue, and as the top of each header pipe went in, I actually drilled through the pipe and into the engine, and glued it in with the drill bit still stuck in the hole, which kind of clamped the pipes together. And then when that one had set up, I'd move down to the next pipe and then the next pipe. So each one set up with the steel drill bit acting as a locating pin to keep it in the right spot until the glue set. Tedious, but it worked. Once I got everything together, I found that the drive shaft is just a little bit short. There's a little bit of play in there. If you're a stickler about such things, you could probably make a spacer to stick in there. So in step 8, when you attach the rear suspension to the frame, I found that they didn't want to fit the frame at this little spot here. The kit parts are sort of in a straight line, and they need to be trimmed at an angle to get them to drop down onto the frame all the way. The wheels fit to the axles on this kit as sort of a press fit, and on mine the rear wheels were so tight that they don't turn, and on the front wheel things were so wobbly that the wheels wouldn't stay straight up and down, so I wound up gluing the front wheels on just so I could have some control over the alignment. The interior of the car is basically a one-piece tub, and the painting instructions for it are pretty simplified, and the detail on the interior door cards is pretty soft. I wound up adding some scratch build detail just to make it more visually interesting. You might want to go online and check reference photos for Ford Fairlanes to get an idea of what they're supposed to look like on the inside. In step 16, you attach the front suspension springs to the underside of the body, and I thought it would simplify painting to leave them off until later, and then I forgot. So my car has no springs in the front end, so don't forget. In step 17, you build the grille for the car, and this is the dragster version on the left and the street version on the right. The air intake for the dragster actually comes in through the high beam holes, so these headlight backs and clear parts don't really make any sense. On mine, I wound up putting some photo etch mesh in a punch and sticking some mesh into the headlight openings. So in the kit, the firewall is just completely flat. There's no detail on it. Painted black, it's not too obvious. I punched a plastic disc out and glued it to the firewall there just to blank off where the blower housing would be. So Revell designed the hood so that these tabs on the side of the hood would go into holes in the side of the body here, and the holes are pretty big and unsightly, so I wound up plugging the holes and scratch building a little magnetic bracket there. I used the lid of a old soup can to make some hood hinges that stick to the magnets there. I simulated a spring by taking a plastic rod and just running it through a die and then carving some of it away so I could glue it onto the bracket. And I have some magnets in the bottom of the hood, so I can attach it like that. On the dragster version, The back of the hood is supposed to have these vents in it, and Revell has these solid with a mesh pattern molded into the plastic. I wound up cutting that out and gluing some mesh in there. Probably the plastic wouldn't look too bad though. The fit of the wipers is tricky. It's really difficult to get them glued on at that one spot and not have the tension of the blade push it up at some strange angle. So I wound up pinning those on there, which was tedious, but it looks better now. I painted the car with Splash Paints Arena Red Metallic. Really like the way it turned out. This is one of those paints that you need to have faith when you use it, because when you put it on, it's a totally different color. This is one of their paints where you don't see the final color until you actually get the clear coat on it. So don't be discouraged if you try this and it doesn't look like this at first. You got to clear coat it. The fit of the kit glass is generally pretty good, but the windshield, it just doesn't quite reach up into the corners here, and you just get these tiny little gaps right at the top edge of the windshield in the corners. You know, with the glare and the reflections, it's not too obvious, but could have been better. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again later. Bye.